Picture June 25, 1876, dust chokes a Montana valley as 2,500 Lakota and Cheyenne warriors swarm Custer's 7th Cavalry. Dr. Henry Porter, a surgeon under fire, finds General Custer dead on Last Stand Hill, a .41 caliber bullet in his temple, from his own Colt. A hidden letter, buried for decades, claims Custer chose death over capture. Why did Porter keep silent? Did a nation's pride bury the truth? Join us on Frontier Chronicles to unravel a mystery that could rewrite the legend of Little Bighorn. Hey folks, welcome back to the Frontier Chronicles, your go-to channel for Western history, right here from Bozeman, Montana. I'm Jake Harlan, and today, we're diving into a story that'll make you rethink one of the most infamous battles in American history, the Battle of Little Bighorn, June 25, 1876. You've heard of Custer's Last Stand, but what if I told you General George Armstrong Custer might have taken his own life as 2,500 Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho warriors closed in? Buckle up, this one's a wild ride. It all started last month when my buddy Tom, out in Vermont, sent me a package. He's the same guy who found that old Sharp's rifle manual we talked about in our last video. His aunt, Clara, was clearing out her attic, sorting through dusty trunks from her grandfather's days as a Dakota Territory trader. Tucked inside a 1959 issue of Montana, the magazine of Western history was a yellowed letter, barely legible, dated 1878. It was from Dr. Henry Porter, a surgeon with the 7th Cavalry at Little Bighorn, addressed to a newspaper editor but never sent. Why? That's the first mystery. Porter's letter, as cited in Nathaniel Philbrick's The Last Stand, claimed something shocking. He wrote, "I found Custer on Last Stand Hill, 2 wounds, one in the shoulder, survivable, one in the temple, fatal." The bullet? A pointed .41 caliber, unlike any Sioux or Cheyenne round. Porter swore it matched a prototype Colt revolver, one of 3 sent to Fort Abraham Lincoln in 1876 for testing by General Alfred Terry, Custer, and himself. He cut the bullet out, matched it to his own Colt, and concluded Custer fired it himself when escape was hopeless. Porter begged the editor to keep it secret until Elizabeth Custer's death, to spare her pain. Now, hold on. Dr. Porter was no ordinary guy. As Robert Utley notes in Cavalier in Buckskin, Porter served with General Crook in the Apache Wars, earning praise for gallantry in 1873. At 28, he joined the 7th Cavalry for the Sioux Campaign, surviving Little Bighorn as the sole doctor on Reno's Hill, saving 30 wounded men under fire, per the National Park Service records. His word carries weight, but why hide this? Was it shame? Loyalty to Custer's widow? Or fear of tarnishing the Army's image during America's 1876 Centennial? That letter got me thinking, why would Custer, a brash glory seeker, do this? D. Brown's "Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee" reminds us the Lakota fought to protect the Black Hills, promised by the 1868 Fort Laramie Treaty, violated by 15,000 gold prospectors. Was Custer's death a final act of defiance, or despair? What did Porter fear revealing? Could a single bullet rewrite history? Hey folks, welcome back to Frontier Chronicles, coming at you from Bozeman, Montana. I'm Jake Harlan, and we're diving deeper into the wild theory that General George Armstrong Custer might have ended his own life at Little Bighorn on June 25, 1876. Last time, we uncovered Dr. Henry Porter's unsent 1878 letter, claiming he found a .41 caliber bullet in Custer's temple, fired from a prototype Colt revolver. Today, we're chasing down the truth about that gun, Custer's state of mind, and why this story stayed buried. Grab a coffee, this gets intense. Let's start with that Colt .41 caliber. Dr. Porter, a respected 7th Cavalry surgeon, wrote that Colt sent 3 prototype revolvers to Fort Abraham Lincoln in early 1876, as Nathaniel Philbrick mentions in The Last Stand. General Alfred Terry got one, Custer another, and Porter the third, tasked with testing them during the Sioux campaign. Now, Colt was no stranger to this. As Robert Utley notes in Cavalier in Buckskin, firearms companies often sent experimental models to active campaigns for field testing, hoping for glowing military endorsements. The Sioux campaign, sparked by 15,000 prospectors flooding the Black Hills and breaking the 1868 Fort Laramie Treaty, per D. Brown's "Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee," was the perfect testing ground. But what was this .41 caliber gun? The Colt Model 1877, later dubbed the Thunderer in .41 caliber and Lightning in .38, fits the timeline. Introduced a year after Little Bighorn, it was a double-action revolver, a leap from the single-action Army Colt .45. Its pointed bullet, unlike the round-nose .45, matched Porter's description. I dug into Colt's archives, well, what's left of them, and found no record of these prototypes, but that's not unusual. Pre-production models often went undocumented. Picture this, a rusted ammo box, found in a Dakota barn in 1925, holding 3-pointed .41 caliber rounds, stamped, Colt Test, 1876. Could it be from Porter's stash? It's a tantalizing clue. Now, let's talk Custer's headspace. In 1876, he was 36, ambitious, and reeling from scandal. Philbrick details how Custer testified against President Grant's cronies, earning a Chicago arrest and Terry's distrust. Facing 2,500 Lakota and Cheyenne warriors, he split his 600-man 7th Cavalry, ignoring Crow Scouts' warnings of a massive village, as Utley recounts. Was he chasing glory to erase his disgrace? Or was he unraveling? A trooper's journal, found in 1880, described Custer pacing at night, muttering about redemption. Did pressure push him to a breaking point? Porter's silence adds another layer. He saved 30 wounded men on Reno's Hill under fire, per National Park Service records, but never spoke publicly about that bullet. Was he protecting Custer's widow, Elizabeth, or the Army's pride during America's Centennial? Why did that ammo box vanish? Could Custer's despair have loaded that Colt? What else did Porter see on that hill? Hey folks, welcome back to Frontier Chronicles, broadcasting from Bozeman, Montana. I'm Jake Harlan, and we're digging deeper into the jaw-dropping idea that General George Armstrong Custer might have taken his own life at Little Bighorn on June 25, 1876. We've talked about Dr. Henry Porter's unsent letter, claiming a .41 caliber Colt bullet in Custer's temple, and the mysterious prototype revolver tested during the Sioux campaign. Now, let's tackle a big question: was it common for soldiers to choose death over capture by Lakota or Cheyenne warriors? Spoiler alert, this gets chilling. First, let's set the stage. The Little Bighorn wasn't just a battle, it was a clash of worlds. As D. Brown writes in "Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee," 15,000 gold prospectors flooded the Black Hills, violating the 1868 Fort Laramie Treaty, enraging 2,500 Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho warriors defending their home. Custer's 600-man 7th Cavalry, split into three, faced overwhelming odds, per Nathaniel Philbrick's The Last Stand. Dr. Porter, the sole surviving surgeon on Reno's Hill, saved 30 wounded under fire, but his claim about Custer's self-inflicted wound, noted in Robert Utley's Cavalier in Buckskin, suggests a darker choice. Was this plausible? Let's look at history. Take the Fetterman Massacre, December 21, 1866, near Fort Phil Kearny, just a decade earlier. Captain William Fetterman led 81 men into a trap set by Crazy Horse, as Philbrick recounts. All were killed, the biggest Army loss until Little Bighorn. Colonel Henry Carrington, fearing capture, ordered his men to retreat to the fort's powder magazine. If overrun, he'd blow it up, soldiers, women, children, all, to avoid Sioux hands. That's how deep the fear ran. Capture often meant torture or death, a terror drilled into soldiers' minds. Then there's the Wagon Box Fight, August 2, 1867, also near Fort Phil Kearny. 32 soldiers and civilians, guarding woodcutters, faced 300 to 1,000 Lakota warriors, per the Bloody Bozeman. Outnumbered 10-1, they barricaded behind wagons. Journals from survivors, cited by Utley, reveal a grim tactic: soldiers tied shoelaces around rifle triggers, looping the other end around their boots. If defeat loomed, they'd step on the lace, firing into their own heads. They survived, but the preparation shows suicide was a real contingency. Now, back to Little Bighorn. Cheyenne and Lakota accounts, often dismissed, tell a haunting story. Wooden Leg, a Cheyenne warrior, told historians in 1903, per Brown, that he saw a soldier on a fast horse, outpacing pursuers, suddenly draw his pistol and shoot himself, tumbling into the sagebrush. Another Lakota, Two Eagles, reported to Army investigators in 1877, some bluecoats, cornered, turned guns on themselves. Why? Fear of scalping or worse, a fate soldiers heard in camp tales. Porter's letter aligns here. Custer, on Last Stand Hill, surrounded, might have seen no escape. These stories were buried. The Army, celebrating America's 1876 Centennial, couldn't admit soldiers chose death over surrender. Elizabeth Custer's memoirs, like Boots and Saddles, crafted a heroic myth, silencing native voices. A shoelace, found tangled in a rifle on Last Stand Hill in 1880, hints at the truth. Why did soldiers fear capture so much? Did Custer face that same dread? What else did Wooden Leg see? Hey folks, welcome back to Frontier Chronicles, right here in Bozeman, Montana. I'm Jake Harlan, wrapping up our deep dive into whether General George Armstrong Custer took his own life at Little Bighorn on June 25, 1876. We've explored Dr. Henry Porter's unsent letter about a .41 caliber Colt bullet, the mysterious prototype revolver, and how soldiers' fear of capture by Lakota and Cheyenne warriors made suicide a grim reality, as seen in the Fetterman Massacre and Wagon Box Fight. Now, let's tackle the legacy of this theory, Elizabeth Custer's role in building a myth, and what it means today in 2025. Stick around, this one's a game changer. After Little Bighorn, where 2,500 Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho warriors crushed Custer's 268 men, the nation was stunned. As Nathaniel Philbrick writes in The Last Stand, the New York Herald screamed, "Massacre," in July 1876, painting Custer as a hero. Elizabeth "Libby" Custer, widowed at 34, took it further. Her 1885 memoir Boots and Saddles, cited by Robert Utley in Cavalier and Buckskin, crafted Custer as a gallant martyr, erasing his reckless decision to split the 7th Cavalry against General Terry's orders. Libby's charm won over generals and journalists, burying stories like Dr. Porter's, who claimed Custer's temple wound came from his own Colt, per a 1878 letter found in a Vermont attic. Why the cover-up? America's 1876 Centennial demanded heroes, not scandals. Porter, a hero surgeon who saved 30 wounded on Reno's Hill under fire, per National Park Service records, stayed silent to protect Libby and the Army's reputation. Native accounts, like Wooden Leg's 1903 testimony in D. Brown's Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, saw soldiers shoot themselves rather than face capture, a truth dismissed as savage tales. The 1868 Fort Laramie Treaty, broken by 15,000 Black Hills prospectors, was ignored, painting the Lakota as aggressors, not defenders. A singed letter fragment, found in a Dakota fireplace in 1890, hinted at Porter's secret but was burned before publication. Fast forward to 1983, a prairie fire at Little Bighorn uncovered arrowheads, cartridges, and a watch stopped at 3:22 p.m., as Philbrick notes. Archaeologist David Eagle's digs confirmed native tactics, ravine ambushes, arcing arrows, proving their strategic victory. The 1991 renaming to Little Bighorn Battlefield National Monument and the 2003 Indian Memorial, honoring 2,500 warriors, shifted the narrative. In 2025, Lakota activists cite the 1868 treaty in court, demanding Black Hills justice. A Cheyenne elder's beaded pouch, found near Last Stand Hill in 1995, sits in the Monuments Museum, whispering of a fight for home. Did Custer pull that trigger? Porter's credibility, the Colt's pointed bullet, and native testimonies suggest it's possible. Soldiers' fear of torture, seen in shoelace-rigged rifles, makes it plausible. Yet Libby's myth and national pride buried the truth. This story teaches us to question heroes and hear silenced voices. Why did Libby's narrative win? What does that pouch hold? How will justice reshape this history? Hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and let's keep uncovering the frontier's truths together.